What fool thing is Johnny doing now? Well, here we go. Lee Hacklin, private investigator in Industrial Cure, Chapter 7. It's a first draft. That afternoon, I went to the Ralphs at Brooklyn Navy Yard, ordered a cup of coffee, and introduced myself to the acne-peppered kid. His name tag said Francis. Poor kid. On the other hand, Lee could be a girl's name, too. I said, "Hi, I'm Lee Hacklin. I always feel weird saying this, but I'm a private investigator." I showed him my license and his jaw fell. Braces. Poor kid. Take two. "Whoa, do you carry?" I flashed him my best friend in the whole wide world. Sorry, Crypto. Mr. Browning. Have you ever shot anybody? Long answer. Let's put it this way. The population of New York City is a little lower this year than it was last year, but in a good way. Short answer, yeah. I made sure nobody was standing behind me. Oh, pardon me. Excuse me. I could be considerate on occasion. Francis cleared his throat. He had a golf ball-sized Adam's apple and said, "You want to ask me about that man, don't you? That man who got killed here." His name was Henry Gray. "How old are you, Francis?" 16, sir. "Were you working that day?" He looked over his non-existent shoulder at a man working in the kitchen. He was in his 30s, wore a tie tucked into a short-sleeved shirt, and he was flipping patties. He gave Francis a good old-fashioned thousand-yard stare. "Softly," Francis said. "I already talked to the cops." I replied, "Cops are jugglers, Francis. Guys like me tend to have just one ball." Figuratively, I hastened to add. I could get fired. Good. Getting fired is a rite of passage for every American teenager. He whispered again, "I'm sorry I lied to the cops." The man I presumed to be the manager took a phone call. "You don't have to lie to me. Do you like comic books, Francis?" He blushed and cringed. It was a different time. If you were 16, lived in America, and read comic books in the 1970s, you were considered a candidate for electroshock therapy. "Yeah, I don't like to talk about it." "That's a shame. I love comic books. Superman's my favorite." He brightened and said, "Me too." "Francis, you'll never be faster than a speeding bullet, your first night with a woman notwithstanding. You'll never be more powerful than a locomotive, and you'll never leap tall buildings in a single bound. But you can do what's right. It takes guts. Sometimes it's risky. You might get hurt, so what? We need to feel good about ourselves. Otherwise, what's the point of living?" His Adam's apple was working overtime as he internally debated himself. "I'm off at 3. See that Dairy Queen across the street? I'll meet you there." "That sounds fine, Francis." "Oh, your coffee. I'll bet you drink it black, sir." "That's a good bet, Francis." "Here's an even better one. Pun intended. Bet on yourself. It's the best investment you'll ever make." Thanks for watching. Don't forget, God loves you. And so does Johnny. Cheers.